Hey guys, PrinceofMacedon here, doing a Rome Total War online battle. I command the Romans, and my opponent is Maji JPJR in command of the Seleucids. This is a 20k CWB battle, and I will show you the armies first. We'll look at mine first. I have 6 units of the urban cohorts. There we go. And there's my general on the very left. Then I have 6 units of Roman archers. And I believe I have 5 or 6 units of Triarii. The reason I brought them is because of the Seleucid superiority in horsemen. And my very back line, I have my Praetorian Cav. I have 3 squadrons of those guys. Alright, now we're going to look at the Seleucid army of JPJR. Here he brought some peasants, but I think he's misusing them. But let's look at his mighty cavalry force. He has 6 squadrons of cataphracts. There they are, all in wedge, and his general is on his very left, opposite my right. There he is. At the very back, he has 2 additional horse units, and those are 2 squadrons of the companion cavalry. Then he has 6 units of archers, and finally 5 units of the silver shield pikemen. There we go. That's his army. And during this point, I was killing his peasants. And the reason why why I say he misused them is because you're supposed to use peasants to either soak up my pila or to use the peasants in conjunction with the archers. But there he just sent in his peasants by themselves. All right, we're gonna go back to my Roman camp here, and you can see a lot of my urban cohorts standing in formation. And yeah, this is the one strength that the Romans have over the Seleucids, and that's their infantry. But the Seleucids easily have the horse superiority. And that's why I brought so many Triarii. I'm going to use my Triarii in conjunction with my Praetorians to keep his cataphracts from launching their strikes on the rears of my urban cohorts. And if he doesn't kill my urban cohorts, then his silver shield pikemen are going to bite it, definitely. So I'm going to advance slowly and systematically. First order of business is to exchange missile fire with his archers. And we both have the same idea here. He's going to bring up his archers. There they are. And at this point, I'm going to start bringing up my archers. I have my archers divided into 2 rows right now. There's 3 in the first row and 3 in the second row, but I'm gonna bring them all forward in a second here. So I'm gonna start to exchange missiles, and I don't think either of us want the archers playing a big part in this battle. So we just want to exchange fire while we can, and then let our melee troops do the rest of the talking. All right, once we start into this missile exchange, then I'm going to fast forward it. Just because it just takes long and nothing's happening. Alright, right now I'm fast forwarding. And that's just our archers trading fire. So, blah blah blah. And I'm gonna resume play right now. And then we're gonna see my opponent make some movement with his companions in the very back. And followed by his cataphracts. So he's moving his the bulk of his horses opposite my left wing. So I wasn't sure what he was planning, but he can't send them in unsupported. Regardless, I brought my Triarii back, and my Triarii are going to support my Praetorian Cav. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, as I said, the Seleucids have a huge superiority in terms of cavalry, face to face against the Romans. So by supporting my Praetorians with anti-cavalry units, then I'm robbing my opponent of the one advantage that he really has over my army. So you can still see my opponent's new deployment. He had his cavalry spread out on both wings, and his left wing is a lot stronger than his right. But anyways, I don't think he can do anything with that particular deployment at the moment. So I'm going to maintain my formation right now, exchange more missile fire, and that'll drain his missiles a little bit. And then soon I'm going to push my urbans forward here so that I can exert some pressure on my opponent. Because the real threat is my urban cohorts. Like, this whole battle depends on their success. If they succeed, then my opponent's doomed, but if he can somehow launch his flank attacks with his cataphracts against my urbans, then I'm doomed. So yeah, the fight with the urbans will be the most decisive factor in this battle. And I'm gonna bring up my back line to support the urban advance. I'm gonna run my horses past my archers so that they don't take unnecessary missile fire. Alright, so I got my urbans closer. I just wanted one last look at the enemy's dispositions before I went through with my plan. And the plan's very straightforward. I'm going to move forward, discharge my pila, and then engage the enemy's phalanx. And then it's up to my opponent whether or not he can stop my urbans or not with his cavalry, and whether or not he can avoid all my triarii. Alright, so my opponent brought all of his archers backwards. That led me to believe that my opponent cared more for his archers than I initially thought. As for me, I don't care what happens to my archers anymore. All I wanted to do was get to this melee phase. Here comes the enemy's phalanx. And the first few volleys of my pila are going to pretty much destroy those pikemen. Yeah, pikemen are very vulnerable to pila. So by the time they get there, they're going to lose like 50% of their troops. At least that one unit did. Alright, it's time to play the waiting game. We're going to see how my opponent responds to my urban cohorts. Depending on how he responds, that'll dictate how I use my triarii. So my opponent's going to first try a kind of frontal assault on my urbans, which isn't a bad idea because they're not pikes. They can go to the front, but it's not as effective. There he routed my Roman archers, but not my urbans. My urbans are still very much in good fighting health, so they're gonna keep trimming at those pikemen there. Now I'm bringing up the urbans on my left wing, just because I saw his cataphracts making some movement towards my center left flank right there. I expected him to make a flank attack on that first line engage with his silver shields. And I got one urban cohort unit in the very back. They penetrated really far into the enemy's formation, and there I launched my Praetorians to flank his dudes. Alright, my urbans who got ahead of themselves, they're now paying the price for advancing way too far into the enemy's formation there. So I'm bringing up my Praetorians again. And on the right, I'm going to start bringing up the rest of my troops. Because I see that he's engaging, that he's committing his cataphracts. So I'm going to engage with my Praetorians and my triarii, and my urbans. Because I really want to wipe out the bulk of his horse force. So you can see his pikes going up. That's not a good sign for him. His cataphracts, they try to retreat a little bit, but my urbans are right there waiting for him. So they're going to hack down his horses when they can. Alright. Elsewhere. Use my Praetorians to flank his cataphracts whenever they're engaged with my urbans. So I'm playing I guess a counter-attacking game. And I think that's the best plan for fighting against the Seleucids if you're Rome. Just because the Seleucids have a slight advantage due to their cavalry superiority. Alright, what's going on? You can see his banners are starting to rout. And I can take these guys and bring them to the center. And this is the center right now. What's left of his formation. And there goes his general.
Slain, and now his men fear us.
So that's the last of his melee troops. All he has left are his archers, who are still firing at me. But at this point, I already had some of my Praetorians out there charging into them. I'm going to send the rest of my units at those archers. And at this point, it's game over for the enemy's archers, because they can't fight with these kinds of odds. They could stand their ground against my horses, but if they do that, then that'll give my urbans enough time to catch up. But at this point, my opponent admits defeat.
This is a heroic victory,
And,
worthy of Roman arms.
It's a pretty good battle. I'll show you the results. Alright, it was a clear victory. And you can see the stats there. But good game to my opponent, JP JR of the Maji clan.